All right, guys, welcome to today's video. In this video, I have actually got a guest with me today. It is Nathan Hirsch with Freeup. Excited to share some details with you guys as to what Freeup is, what they offer, what they do, and how it can benefit you. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and invite you guys to get to know Nathan. What's up, Nathan?
What's up, Troy? Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure. Glad to have you. So, if you don't mind, if you want to give us just a little bit of background as to who you are, what you do, what Freeup is all about, and yeah, give us some insight.
Yeah, so I'm 27 years old. I started my first company when I was 20. Ended up starting a multi-million-dollar business out of my college dorm room, starting from textbooks, going to drop shipping, buying from different retailers, vendors, manufacturers. I hired my first employee before I could legally drink, and I've had kind of this crazy ride over the past 7 years. Building my Amazon store, and then also starting my second company, Freeup. But as every business owner knows, you never get to success by yourself. It takes a really high quality team, a lot of manpower, and just so much work. So the thing that I've had a lot of success with is, at first, when I had no idea what I was doing hiring, I made some really good lucky hires, people who are still with me here today. And like any entrepreneur, I made a lot of bad hires along the way, but I learned from them and created a pretty good process in vetting out applicants so that I can get top tier talent at affordable rates. And that's helped me advance my business and expand faster than it ever has. Freeup has grown over 900% in the past 8 months. And it's not just because of me. I only work the 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but there's hundreds of man hours from my internal team. And my internal team is top quality. So Freeup is all about helping people value their time and adding workers at high level at a fast pace to your company that can help expand it farther than you can do just by yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when we're talking Freeup, of course, you and I know I use the service. You own and manage the service and what it is and what it facilitates. But maybe you can give a little bit of insight as to when we talk about Freeup and outsourcing and virtual assistants and freelance contract workers, that type of thing. How do you describe Freeup? And what makes it different in the landscape of the Upworks, of the Elance, some of those other options that may be out there but may not be as suitable for some folks, some entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so you can go on these different job boards, the Upwork, the freelancer.com, and you post a job and you get lots of applicants. You interview them one by one, and at the end of the day, you never really know what you're going to get. It's either going to be a good hire or a bad hire. And if you make that bad hire, it can really hurt your company and set you back. And if you make a good hire and you train them and you invest time into them, and one day they quit, you're right back where you started. So what we do is we get hundreds of applicants a week. We use an interview process that I've developed over the past 7 years to vet them and make sure they have strong communication, because communication is everything. And then we make the top 1% that get into our network available to our clients on a first come first serve basis. So our clients love it because instead of doing all those interviews, they just put in a request, tell us what they need, and we introduce them within hours. And you've used the service. You know how quickly we get workers. We really have this huge network just ready to go at your disposal. And then the cool thing about us is not only do we save you a lot of time on the front end, but we're very hands-on along the way. We want to make sure you have a good experience. We want to teach you how to manage a remote team, help you build a company culture, and we're there to protect you against turnover, because we have very low turnover in our network, but it is real life. People can quit. If our workers quit for any reason, we cover all retraining costs and we get you a new worker right away. So we save you time on the front end and we protect you on the back end. And to me, it's really the new way of hiring.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely a hands-on approach. That was big for me, as you mentioned. I've worked with plenty of workers with Freeup, so I've taken full advantage of the service, spent my own money to make sure I'm investing in the right people, and that was always such a big advantage for me is having the involvement of Nathan and his team to make sure it's not so sterile in terms of just submitting an application and having whoever that may fit that criteria on an Upwork or an Elance. Not to say those services aren't as good, but if you really prefer finding the best fit, it helps to have that human connection and really be able to synthesize what the need is. So that's awesome. Awesome. Now, what would you say if an entrepreneur has never hired a freelancer and this is all brand new to them? What do you see as maybe some challenges that Freeup helps with or makes it that much easier? I think we've kind of alluded to some of them, but I think there's probably some others that can make it that much easier for that first hire, where it'd be so much anxiety and they're spending their hard-earned money, and it's a first step. what do you think maybe Freeup and you help with facilitating that?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is communication because there are a lot of really talented people out there, but I don't care how good they are. If you can't communicate with them, if you're chasing them down, if they're not showing up on time, it's going to be a nightmare, and it's really never going to work out in the end. So with us, we focus on, yes, the talent and the experience, and we don't want newbies. We want people who have been there and had a lot of success. We also want people with a strong work ethic, people that like working, that it's not just a paycheck to them. But the most important thing for us is our 15 pages of communication guidelines that our workers have to memorize and get tested on. A lot of it is common sense, but some of it isn't. And I've been a client before. I've been a client for the past. I still am a client for the past 7+ years. I know what clients like, and I know what drives me crazy. So we really etch into our workers' head how to treat our clients, how to communicate at a high level, so that you don't have those issues and that you can reap the benefits of their experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a point you alluded to before, which I think is important to reiterate, is that you guys actually, you vet the freelancers before they get into your network. So it's not this broad, you're casting this massive wide net and then it's left to the entrepreneur to do that vetting process, that you pre-vet and then it's a suitable fit, and it shortens that timeline, and it shortens the bandwidth too, the bandwidth need that an entrepreneur has, and managing their time effectively to even find that solution to then further save their time. So I think that's great. One question that would always come up to me as somebody who's hired full-time workers, part-time workers, contractors, freelance, kind of the whole gamut, is where do you see some of the advantages with going with a Freeup solution versus maybe a full-time employee and doing payroll and those types of things?
Yeah, so we do have clients that hire our workers full-time. It's really the difference between an employee and a contractor. The biggest thing is with employees, there's usually a lot more overhead, not always, but usually you have to get an office, some kind of space, whereas Freeup, we're entirely remote. We have a lot of clients who are running multi-million-dollar businesses entirely remote. So it just saves you so much overhead. You avoid payroll taxes. I'm not a lawyer, and I do my best to categorize people as contractors because that really is what they are. But if you were to hire someone that's just your worker, that's working 40 hours a week, that you have that element of control, then it's kind of the argument: are they an employee? Are they a contractor? Which I don't really get into. But there's just so many benefits from, if you just think of it, I live in Orlando, Florida. If I only hired people in Orlando, Florida, the amount of talent that I have access to is so limited. Whereas if I have to pay top dollar for that talent because I'm competing with all the other businesses in Orlando. But if I have access to all the workers across the U.S., across the world, all of a sudden that talent pool opens up and I can get everything I need pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the ironic part to what we talked about before, where you guys create that filter. You still can cast the wide net, but then get that filter through Freeup to find the best solution. That's great. Awesome. Now, there's a lot of specialists in the, from what I've seen, especially for some of my needs with my business, is being able to find specialists in a lot of key areas. And Freeup it has a bent towards more e-com type solutions, but obviously that covers a wide array, from advertising, content creation. There's plenty of things that is encapsulated in that. Coming into 2017, there's plenty of trends taking place. Where do you see in the context of a leveraging freelancers and contractor type environment where e-commerce trends are going?
Yeah, e-commerce is really at its infancy right now. It's growing at a rapid pace. I've been in it since, not the beginning, but right when Amazon was getting away from being a bookstore to selling a lot of other products. And there's just so much potential. And before, you kind of had that period where you had to sell on Amazon. Now people are opening Shopify stores and just have so many alternatives. So for me, freelancing is the way of the future. All these remote businesses want to hire. So many people out there want the benefits of being a freelancer, not having to drive to work, not having those extra costs, being able to work in their pajamas or whatever atmosphere they like working in. So it just allows you to almost pay less because you're providing that better culture and that better work environment. So to me, it should only expand. E-commerce should only expand. And I'm really excited for what the future holds.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In your experience, what have you seen as being some of the first hires for entrepreneurs and business owners, whether it's physical products, info products? What do you see as being maybe a recommended first hire?
Yeah, so what I recommend doing is making a list of everything you do on a day-to-day basis and organizing it from easiest to hardest, and really take the easiest stuff off your plate first. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to be focused on sales, marketing, and expanding your company. If you're not focused on that and you're doing data entry stuff or entering manual lines into QuickBook or responding to easy customer emails, that's stuff that you can get off your plate right away. And it doesn't necessarily mean take it off your plate and then go to the beach. It means use that time and reinvest it back into your company, and then hire people for the next task, and then take that time and reinvest it and hire for the next task. And that's really how I built 2 companies bootstrapped, because I'm able to get a return on my investment just by investing my time in a different part of the company.
Absolutely. Great. Well, Nathan, I really want to thank you for taking the time. I think that's a great note to end on for how entrepreneurs can really 2-3x their time by leveraging other people, whether it's they want to grow their bottom line, they want to create more times for themselves and spend more time with their friends, family, and use their time as they wish. They can leverage Freeup to be able to achieve that with your help. So I want to thank you again for your time. If you guys want to check out, I'm going to have a link in the description for you to take a look at Freeup. You can take advantage of the service. Nathan and his team make it very easy to get started, and you can go as small or as big as you'd like. And on that note, Nathan, is there any parting words you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, so if you mention Troy's name, you get $1 off your first worker forever. Try us out. And you can check out the Freeup blog. We're always talking about how to build a company culture, manage people. We also have an online hiring mastermind group where people can post advice and questions that they have about remote hiring. We're really there to help you along the way, so feel free to reach out.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate that perk to the audience. I know that they're going to really find that beneficial, so we appreciate that. Thanks again, Nathan. Guys, check this out. Don't miss this opportunity, and we'll check you guys out soon. Thanks, Nathan.